Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. This is the second half of our doubleheader. We began with Inside the Pigskin, and now we're talking baseball. Great crew on hand tonight. We have Candy Ebling over to my right. Welcome back, Candy.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be here.
And we got Eric Katz back. Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you, Scott.
Glad to have you back, Eric. All right, and we have Chase Blake, the man on the rise.
It's wonderful to be back. Happy Tuesday, everyone.
And Jordan Long, Mr. Think got to be going nice in Colorado, aren't they?
Oh, I mean, you're right. We won the Stanley Cup last year, and then last night winning the title. It's been great. Thanks for having me, Scott.
Jordan Long's on a Rocky Mountain high, and I'll give him a lot of other reasons why he really is on a Rocky Mountain high later on. And last but not least, Jeremy Ballreich, long time no see, professor and the pupil. Welcome back. It's a long time no see, about 10 minutes.
It's good to be here. I like talking baseball. I do know a little bit more than people think I do. I'm not just a gridiron guy.
Well, before you talk baseball, I want you to tell everybody about what we did on Sunday about the professor and the pupil.
The Professor and the Pupil is a new show we created because, well, Scott's the professor, I'm the pupil, but we are not just covering the major sports. We are going to go outside the lines. We're going to pull in the other sports, such as like bowling, racing, MMA, darts, billiards, cornhole, pickleball. I mean, there's so many out there that we could cover that are in this great nation of ours that'll give people a different outlook than the most shows do out here in the podcast world.
Yeah, and I like boxing. Of course, everybody knows my history with boxing. Angelo Dundee was a good friend of mine. Muhammad Ali was a guy. Sugar Ray Leonard. The list goes on and on. So with that said, so we'll focus on the diamond, okay? And we're going to have a very, very busy chat room for sure. So, all right, Candy, why don't you start off with all the chats, because Will Vogel will make it impossible for me to keep up for all the right reasons. So go ahead, Candy.
Why don't you introduce the topic first?
Well, the first topic that we're going to talk about is the New York Yankees retired numbers is mind-boggling, okay? I'm going to go over them all because this is unbelievable. Billy Martin, number 1. Derek Jeter, number 2. Babe Ruth, number 3. And by the way, I found out the story behind Babe Ruth. He was hit third. That's why he got the number. And I also found out about Lou Gehrig hitting fourth. He got that number. I don't know if Joe DiMaggio ever hit fifth, but he got that number. Joe Torre didn't hit anywhere. He's at number 6. Mickey Mantle, number 7. And I really like Mickey Mantle because I got a couple of his Hydrostone statues here at home. Yogi Berra, number 8. Bill Dickey, number 8. Roger Maris, number 9. Phil Rizzuto, number 10. Thurman Munson, number 15. Whitey Ford, number 16. Jorge Posada, 20. How's my Spanish? Not bad. Paul O'Neill, 21. One of my favorite numbers. Don Mattingly, one of my all-time favorite people, players, and all that, 23. Elston Howard, 32. Casey Stengel, 37. Mariano Rivera, 42. Reggie Jackson, 44. Andy Pettit, 46. Ron Guidry, 49. Bernie Williams, 51. Jackie Robinson, universally retired, 42. So I guess it pays to be as a Bronx Bomber. And when you look at that list, to me, it's just unbelievable. So let's go around the horn with it. And I'm going to start off with Candy. You've had a chance to look at this a little bit, okay? Let's face the reality. Do the Yankees need any more numbers retired? Because, they're liable to hit triple digits before anybody.
Good for them. Kudos for them to have that many numbers retired, that many great players. They started out, the reason why Gehrig was number 3 is because it was where they were in the batting lineup. That's what they did. 1 through 8, your batting lineup was your number. And that's how they started the numbers. And that's how Gehrig was 3. But
well, actually, Babe Ruth was 3.
Babe Ruth, I'm sorry.
Right.
Gehrig was 4.
Gehrig was 4. That's why, yes. But kudos to them. I mean, I to have such a historic franchise and they've won so many championships, that's the reason why you get so many retired numbers. And they deserve it. Give me another team, give me some more good players, and they'll be up there. But the Yankees were so good and so dominant for so long.
All right, Mr. Yankee. Go ahead, Eric.
I mean, it comes to show you just, a lot of legendary people players came through that organization that, were worthy enough to, have their number retired. I mean, I think, you know, in my opinion, I think some of them, like, I feel like some of them shouldn't be there just because, you know, it's just, to me, they just, you know, they just had just a few iconic years. But overall, you know, you got a lot of legends going through the organization. They called the Yankee Spring Training Stadium Legends Field at one point. And, you know, it just comes to show you, I mean, it's a story. It's one of the more storied franchises in Major League Baseball.
Okay, we'll turn over to Chase.
Coming from a franchise or a fan of a franchise like the Miami Marlins, who have 0 retired numbers. Out here, you look at this list of Yankees, and I go through the list as a historian fan of baseball, right? And there's a lot of big names on this list. They are running out of numbers. The real question is, who's next? I mean, you got to think Aaron Judge, 99, maybe that's the next number. But are there any Yankees right now that, other than Judge, that deserve their number retired? Maybe Stanton, 27. We'll have to see.
Okay. All right, Jordan.
You know, I look at the New York Yankees, and it just shows you how consistent they have been over the years. They've had a lot of talent go through there. I mean, they have the most World Series, so it's amazing to me that they have all those numbers retired. But then again, most of them deserve it. I look at the Rockies, who only have one number retired, and he deserves it, and that's Todd Helton. And I believe Larry Walker should be the next one at 33. But the reason why the Yankees have so many numbers retired is because of success. So, like Eric said, some of them don't deserve it, but most of those names definitely deserve it just because of the success of the New York Yankees organization.
Leaves you, Jeremy.
Jordan, I'm going to piggyback off of that. You talked about Todd Helton. It's funny you mentioned that because Tim Legler used to do on Mike and Mike in the morning, he'd do his quiz, and his answer for 99% of his questions was Todd Helton. That being said, the Yankees have been a great organization for years, the most World Series wins. They deserve to have that many numbers retired. A couple of players that were listed as an auxiliary to that number is just because they held it before the number was retired after that player retired. So those ones that you just said, oh, had a couple iconic seasons. The one that's not on there that I'm amazed at is 61 for Roger Maris. But the other one that I'm sure will be coming up next, Mariano Rivera.
There you go. Well, Mariano Rivera's on there, isn't he?
Yeah.
42. Right. He was on there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And that okay, yeah, because he was the first ballot.
Yeah, Roger Maris is interesting. I will say one thing about the Colorado side, though. Many years ago, I had an opportunity to cover him out in Arizona, not just recently with Candy and I recently, but I had an opportunity to go ahead and talk to Todd Helton and Larry Walker, two classy people. Larry Walker's name should be on there. Todd Helton, his next place should be in Cooperstown, as well as Larry Walker. I've always been a strong advocate for those guys. Nothing will change. And as far as the Yankees, well, 99, the only single-digit number left is 0. So I don't know if anybody will ever recognize it, but that's the only thing you got left. And my favorite number, 33, well, David Wells, for a while, if he had stayed there long enough, he might have gotten it. But 33 is still out there if you're in the 3 business. So, all right, over to the chat room a little bit. Candy, let's go ahead and put a couple of those up, shall we?
All right. Will Vogel comes in and says, as Yankees fans, we don't have enough jersey numbers that are retired. So enough, we will have to go like apostrophe, percentage, equal sign, plus sign, exclamation mark, comma, question mark, and apostrophe. And things of that nature, or just last names on the back of the jersey.
That sounds like Yuppie from the whole apostrophe thing, the exclamation point.
And he also says, in all seriousness, you guys probably know, but jersey numbers used to reflect where you were in the batting order, like Babe Ruth was 3, Gehrig was 4. And in soccer, the forwards would wear 9 and 9, and midfield at 10. Would wear 6 through 8. The defense would wear 2 through 5, and the goalies would wear 1.
Well, you're going to go there. Well, you might as well realize that once upon a time, the NFL had jerseys for wide receivers in the 80s. Quarterbacks were, we all know.
0 through 19.
Yeah, right. So, and here we have a new one here. Rhea Zagerman, one of my closest acquaintances and an adopted mother of mine out in Michigan, decided to pop in. So cool. Thanks, Aunt Rhea. Glad you were able to come on tonight. Football talk. How's it going, everyone? Well, you missed the football show. We're glad you made it to the baseball one. And last but not least, go ahead, Jeremy, with Will.
Second most retired jersey number for a team is the Cardinals with 12.
Yeah, pretty big.
And pretty
tradition.
soon, 5 will be retired there for Albert Pujols.
Oh,
Yeah,
very
no
soon.
doubt about it.
For
Year or
sure.
two.
All right, let's take our act down to Texas, okay? And Texas Rangers pitcher Jacob deGrom, age 35, will undergo Tommy John surgeries out 12 to 14 months. Signed a 5-year, $185 million deal. Ouch. You know what? We're going to go in reverse order, Jeremy. Boy, did the Texas Rangers find themselves in a very precarious position taking on that gamble.
Well, we've said it about football, and I'm going to say it about baseball. You do not pay players that cannot play. Availability is the best ability. They overpaid for him because he is a talent when he's on the field. The problem is he's only on the field a third of the time.
Okay, Jordan?
I was not a fan of when Jacob deGrom signed with the Texas Rangers. If you look at his stats, the only year he was really healthy in the last couple of years was 2019. I am not surprised he's hurt, but the thing is they overpaid. They're hoping that in the next few years he'll be healthy. I just don't see him being a healthy pitcher because he can't stay on the field. It's always an injury with them.
Okay, Chase?
We discussed it last week, and for those who didn't see that episode, please go back and watch about players that make too much money or being paid long-term deals for past performance. This is one of them. deGrom is being paid for his past performance with another team in the Mets. He goes to a new franchise. His history caught up with him. He's injury prone. It's sad, right? The only one who's not hurting is him because money's guaranteed in baseball. He's getting $30 million for not playing this year, up to $40 million next year for not playing, and then moving forward. He's going to get the 185 no matter what happens here. So he's happy. It's the fans and the franchise that hurt.
All right, before I turn it over to Eric, hey, Michael Consicio, the con man, is with us sharing this. Hey, Michael Consicio, the con man, do me a favor. You need to go out there and contact Jeremy Ballrick. He's handling all my publicity right now. I've named him director of publicity. So, we appreciate you sharing this, but you need to get a hold of Jeremy because he's the one doing all the thing. All I'm doing these days is broadcasting, sharing the shows, and bringing on guests. But Jeremy's been handling things for me because I have a lot of stuff. So take that advice to heart, con man. Appreciate you being on the broadcast tonight so much. All right, Eric, continue.
Well, I could see this one coming from a mile away because the last really healthy season deGrom had was again in 2019 where he was. And the second thing is they've been limiting his pitch. They've been kind of putting him on pitch counts for a while now, given that he's now about to have Tommy John surgery twice, and he's still getting hurt. Typically, when you put someone on a pitch count, it's to prevent him from getting hurt, and he goes ahead and gets hurt. I don't know how much gas this guy has left in the tank. It's almost like he's becoming the new Sandy Koufax, except he's not pitching while he's in pain because Koufax actually tried to really dog it out, but man, the pain was just overbearing at that point, and that was before we had the medicine we have now. But again, this guy, I don't know how much gas he has left in the tank. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the money when they gave it to him, given the fact he was injury prone. I would have done something less, maybe like a shorter term deal, kind of like what the Mets have going with Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, both pitchers who are, very great pitchers, but, also in recent equally injury prone over the years. But, the fact of the matter is the Rangers decided to overpay for him. Yes, he is a great pitcher when he's out there. No doubt about it. The guy's a borderline Hall of Famer when he's out there. But, the injury bug caught up with him. I said it from the beginning of the year. I think Scott remembers this when I said that the front office, as well as ownership, is going to be panicking anytime a trainer or pitching coach or manager goes out there to talk to him. And sure enough, here we are. The injury happens and he is done for the year, and his wallet's gonna be a lot more heavier when it's said and done.
Okay, Candy.
This surgery, expected to keep him out at least a year, will trigger Texas's conditional option on deGrom's contract for a 6th season at $20 million, $30 million, or $37 million. The 2028 price will depend on deGrom's performance during the contract and health following the 2027 season. I would encourage all of you to go to the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. Scott did an on-site interview with pitching coach, I believe it's Willie Blair from the Daytona Tortugas, and he talks about Tommy John surgery and why is there so many Tommy John surgeries. Part of it is back in the day, you were not a one-trick pony. You didn't do just one sport. You played all the different sports. And why do you play all the different sports? Because your muscles need to relax. You need to use different muscles. You can't strain and be consistently using the same muscles all year through, year upon year upon year. We need to stop being that. We need to start doing more different sports, playing different things, doing different things, and not concentrating on one specific. We're going to see more and more of these injuries in the future if we don't change our behaviors now. Go listen to the interview.
Yeah, Willie Blair. And I'll tell you, and with my time in Daytona, I had a great time there. Had an opportunity to interview Detroit Tigers, the Lakeland Flying Tigers, Andrew Graham, the Australian guy. He was unbelievable. Lenny Harris, so I go back to the 80s with the Tampa Tarpons. And last but not least, Willie Blair, who I've been in touch with for the better part of a year. It just so happens it worked out where he landed with the Reds, and they sent him down to Daytona, and it worked out incredible. And I'm actually working on getting Willie to come on, hopefully later in the year when the season is over with. So I'm working on that now. I'll fill in more details. The only thing I'll say about DeGrom is this. Okay, let's have a little bit of fun with it, if it's even possible. How do you spell relief? Rolaids, Rolaids, right?
Yeah.
You know how the New York Mets spell relief? Texas Rangers, and I'm not spelling that. They're just glad they got rid of the headache, and they don't have to worry about all the maintenance. All right, let's go to Will Vogel before I go to the next topic. All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Don't know how much longer he will play. I see him, Scherzer, Verlander, Kershaw, and DeGrom, Sale, and Chris Sale retiring in the next 1 to 3 years. That's a good distinct possibility because all of them are starting to see more injuries.
Yeah, well, I think you're way on target with that one. Thanks for posting it. All right. Next topic here. I know we have a couple Wisconsin people in the building, but don't feel too bad. There's a little consolation prize on this one. The Oakland A's beat the Milwaukee Brewers to complete their first series sweep of the season. But now the A's are streaking with a 6-game winning streak. And when you factor in 2 wins versus the Pittsburgh Mark Mancini Pirates, okay, and then, of course, they ended up beating the Tampa Bay Rays last night 4-3. All of a sudden, the Oakland A's may not be amazing, but, they may hopefully try to avoid that amazing Mets lack thereof, I should say, infamous streak. So, all right, Candy, we're giving you guys an opportunity, you and Eric first, to talk about the fact that the Brewers were the first ones swept. But Oakland's starting to play a little bit of baseball. And before I send you there, we can have the opportunity to cover the Oakland A's and Miami Marlins. And I'm going to be writing a story for this of the South Florida Tribune that Skip Schumacher does not take teams for granted. And that'll probably be the title of it. And because he does, he goes into everything that you're playing Major League ball. You can't take nobody for granted. Candy, I know it started with the Brewers, but you know what? They didn't beat Milwaukee 6 in a row, just 3, and 3 contributed to the Oakland A's win parade. All right, Candy, take it from there.
There's a reason why they play the game, because any given team can beat any given team on any given day. You have to have everything right. The Oakland A's took time for them to gel, for them to start feeling it, to start their nucleus, and the locker room. They're even saying how they've become more buddy. They're getting to know everybody. When you're a new team and you throw in new guys, you don't know how they play. You don't know how they respond. You don't know how to talk. So I think as the season goes on, you're going to see, and let's face it, every team goes through hot spots and through cold spells, and you're going to have streaks. That's why they play 162 games. It's not a 7-game series like the NHL championships or the NBA championships. You play 162 games to get to that point. They came in, yes, they swept the Brewers, they beat the Phillies, and then they beat the Rays. They beat some of the best. Again, any given team can beat any given team on any given day. That's why you play.
Okay, Eric.
Well, like Andy said, these guys are playing professional baseball for a reason, so they're more than capable. I think part of it too is, Kotze. I got to give props to their manager, Mark Kotze, for really keeping that team together, given the amount of there's been more downs than ups as of late. But the fact that he hasn't blown his top yet and has been able to keep that team together is, truly remarkable given what they're going through. Obviously they have Brent Rooker, who's been a really nice story this year for them. So it hasn't been totally terrible, But the fact of the matter remains, though, is they're hitting a stride right now where they're starting to kind of believe in their abilities, which I think is something that come around April and May that they just didn't know if they could do it or not. But aside from Brent Rooker, but all that aside, you know, they're playing professional baseball. So the fact that, you know, their record, they may be having bad record wise, well, they're getting paid to play the children's game too. And, you know, now obviously they beat Tampa. I mean, Pittsburgh is, you know, Mark Mancini's Pirates, which, you know, hopefully he's not going too crazy over there, which I'm sure he is. I think that, you know, they built up some nice momentum from the Pirates series, who are in first in the Central, and then they took it on over to Milwaukee, where they put Milwaukee into the ground in 3 games. And then, you know, obviously they're doing it against a very good Tampa Bay Rays team, which, you know, the Rays are the Rays. They're going to come out with great teams every year. And to be honest, that team deserves more. And, we're starting to see the pieces come together, and they're starting to show, okay, who's going to be around in the long term and who's going to just here for the short term.
Okay, we'll turn over to Chase.
So the Oakland Athletics, even prior to the Pirates series, they got swept by the Marlins in Miami. But before that, they won 2 out of 3 against the NL division leading Braves. So they've been a good team for about 2 months. They're pretty hot, and they're doing it really with only one Major League Baseball known name, and that's Laureano, you know, former All-Star.
Right.
They have some young guys. JJ Bleday they made a trade for. They have a young catcher. Nola's heating up over there, and Peterson. They have a decent nucleus, and really, anytime you're on a major league roster, it means you're the best of the best in the world, no matter what your team looks like, no matter how many fans are in the stands and whatnot, which today they have 23,000 in a reverse boycott. So that team is most likely leaving Oakland, and they have to put something on the field. And, you know, teams that are supposed to be bad, the underdogs step up. That's what they're doing.
Jordan.
I will say, going off what Candy said, you're going to have hot streaks. You're going to have, you know, cold streaks. This is a hot streak for the Oakland Athletics. The thing is, though, sure, Oakland could win a few more games here and there on this hot streak, but they are still one of the worst teams in baseball at 18-50. It's still nice to see them go on a winning streak. We know they're going to leave at the end of the season, so it's nice to see that at least fans are seeing them win right now, but it won't last. They'll obviously nosedive again.
Please over to you, Jeremy.
They are the antithesis of the '84 Tigers. They were at one time 5-35.
Right. Yeah. 30.
Whereas the Tigers back then were 35-5.
Right. Yeah.
So you're talking about a team that is leaving their stadium, and that messes with your mind when you first hear that. And that's what they started with at the beginning of the season. So as the season gels, the players learn to play together better. But the roster, they got a nucleus of about 4 or 5 guys that are good. But when you're talking about an 18-man roster overall, maybe. No, I don't see them doing much. I think they're going to have a lot of ups and downs throughout the season.
Okay. All right.
Well,
And that fake Jeremy Ballrick piped in again.
And by the way, I was waiting for Eric Katz to mention Mark Mancini and his Pirates. There's no love lost between Eric Katz and Mark Mancini. I couldn't help that one. I really couldn't.
I'm Seinfeld. He's Newman.
No comment, and you don't get many of those.
I like
no,
that one.
I'm not losing a hat, Jeremy. Only one person can knock it off of that shoe. Go ahead. I don't know. All right. Well, Will Vogel says you're right. Anything can happen. That's true. And I'll reiterate what I said before. So when I was talking to Skip Schumacher, thinking they're going to get the sweep, he said, "Well, you're taking nobody for granted." And he's right.
And
Now
Will
I'm going to title the first story after my media availability after Skip Schumacher, because he definitely is on target with this. All right. You know what? I love talking about catchers. So one of the hot topics right now to me is JP Realmuto becomes the 17th catcher in MLB history to hit for the cycle. All right. You know what, Jeremy? You're nodding your head. So when you nod your head, you got to talk. Go ahead.
No, I saw that post. I'm like, wait, who the heck is posting under my name?
I don't know.
Because when I type, it comes out Detroit, kneecap biting with the Detroit Lions. I never posted up like that.
All right. So do we have a?
We have a
You cloned yourself.
a fake
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
a burner, as they say, burner account.
Okay. All right. No
That
problem.
being said, the catcher is the battery, and Real Muto is actually a very good catcher. He's been good for a couple of years. He's consistent. He doesn't do great things, but he doesn't do bad things either. He's one of those guys that has all the tools. He can do the defensive plays. He's a slightly above average offensive player as well, and he has some pop in his bat.
All right, Jordan.
It's amazing to me in all of Major League Baseball history, he becomes the 17th. But like Jeremy said, he has pop in his bat. He hit for the cycle. That's not easy to do. You don't see anybody hit for a cycle every day, especially catcher. So hats off to him, and hopefully this will help him continue, hitting fairly well. Whether or not he'll get a cycle ever again, it remains to be seen in his career. But at least he got it now, and that's all that matters.
All right, before we go over to Chase, we have an update here out in Vegas. The Golden Knights lead the Florida Panthers 4-1. Once upon a time, the Colorado Avalanche beat the Florida Panthers in the 1996 Stanley Cup. So the Florida Panthers right now, they're 4-1, 5:58 left in the second. And I'll turn it over to Chase. Go ahead.
Sad down here in South Florida right now. Heat losing yesterday, Panthers losing now. But back to the subject of JT Real Muto and his cycle. Congratulations to JT, former Marlin, was traded in the fire sale of 2017. We always thought that JT was going to be the first player to hit the cycle down here. He's always been a great hitting catcher. I'm surprised he didn't do it sooner than now. And let's see how the Phillies do if they continue heading down. Maybe JT only has 3 years left on his deal. Will he live it out in Philly? We'll have to see.
Okay, Eric.
Well, I always like JT Realmuto. I do. The Marlins had a very special talent when they had him. It's unfortunate that they pulled yet again another fire sale and had to and decided to trade him away, which that actually happened when Derek Jeter took over that team. And but obviously, I can't think of another guy who, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner, because the guy's a borderline all-star. He's a good all-around catcher, great offensively. He'd be the catcher you dream of, where, these days you either get one that's great on defense or one that's great on offense. Typically you'll take the one that's great on defense, but the fact that the Phillies get both, it's a beautiful thing. And we're seeing it play out right in front of us.
All right, before I turn over to Candy, just want to make sure that everybody's heard this once and they're going to hear it twice. That 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Going in the chat room is one way to do it, or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. Also, we broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter @Tribune South. Candy Handling is behind the scenes. Today, she's in front of it all. So, with that said, Jeremy, we got some of your people chiming in. We'll start off with Detroit Lions Forum. And Detroit Lions Forum, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. As the year continues to go on, you guys are going to be more prominent on our network as well. So all you Lions people associated to Jeremy, there's going to be a lot more Lions content coming on soon. So let's get ahead of this thing and please kindly hit the subscribe button. All right, go ahead, Jeremy.
Goff could play catcher. Oh, my goodness.
You know who that is, too.
Nobody said there isn't humor.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Okay, you knows who it is? Well, it's okay. Humor is a beautiful thing. All right. Let's put Will Vogel's up there since we're riding the Vogel train. All right.
6
Go
players
ahead,
have
Jeremy.
hit for the cycle 3 times each, more than any other MLB players. Those 4 men are John Riley, Bob Musial, Babe Herman, Adrian Beltre, Trey Turner, and Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Nice list.
Jack Campbell's got a good one. Before you read this one, I want to preface the fact that Jack Campbell said I played pitcher in high school. I was a catcher for 4 years in Little League ball, and I probably interviewed a dozen catchers in my lifetime. So if anybody has a good relationship with the catchers, I definitely do, and know all the tricks to be able to, understand that's a very active position where you're in the game at all times. So, Jack, thank you very much for putting that up. And once again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but folks, please hit the please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. All right, so we'll continue on. Who haven't I asked yet?
Candy,
Go ahead.
your wife.
Oh no,
So,
I'm
so listen-
multitasking, and she knows when I multitask, I have those senior moments, AARP style. Go ahead, Candy.
So if we're talking about positions that we've played in baseball/softball, there isn't a position on the baseball diamond that I have not played. I played fast pitch and slow pitch, catcher and pitcher. But let's get back to the cycle. Since yes, 300, we've had how many? 342 times. Christian Yelich is the only player to hit it against the same team twice. He's actually hit it 3 times against the Cincinnati Reds, but twice in the same season. You've had 44 players have hit for the cycle at least twice. 5 have hit for the cycle twice in one season. Cycles have occurred on the same day twice in MLB history, on September 17th and 1920 by Bobby Veach of the Detroit Tigers and George Burns of the New York Giants. The question is, how many times has the natural cycle been hit? Which means you hit for a single, then a double, then a triple, then a home run. It's been accomplished 15 times in history. And what about the reverse cycle, which means you get the home run, triple, double, then single? It's been done 10 times in Major League history.
I was thinking 9.
Yeah, and let's not forget recently with the Marlins, Luis Arias hit the first one in Marlins history. I know we talked about it since we're on the cycle side. We might as well go out there and mention Arias as well. So with that said, we're rolling through the topics. Now we're going to have some fun with some parting shots. But you know what? I'm going to have Jordan start it off, and I'm going to preface Jordan a little bit because some of this will be mentioned a little bit tomorrow. But before I go ahead and do that, no, let's go back to the chat room. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Rico. All right, Rico, welcome to the big show. Continue to be a part of the big show, and Jeremy will tell you how. Go ahead.
Don't forget to go ahead and hit that red subscribe button on the South Florida Tribune channel. That being said, he says, Jeremy, let's be truthful. Tigers will probably win 5 more games total. Oh, if that happens, it'll be a historic year in Detroit, not in a good way.
Yeah.
You came close in, I think, 03 of when you had 119 losses. You came close there.
Yeah, well, that's one time, Eric. We don't really like to talk about certain things any more than you like your Brewers situation. The only difference between the Tigers and the Brewers, no, sorry, Candy. I know there'll be a World War 9 million in this household when I get through these comments. The Brewers have never been to the World Series. Have been to the World Series once. We've been there quite a few more times, but then again, I get stuck putting the Packers out to the Lions, and I'm so used to it, so I'll deal with that. All right.
Although the tide's starting to turn on that front, Scott.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'm not holding my breath. I don't want to lose my voice. So another score update here from the National Hockey League. The Vegas Golden Knights lead the Panthers 5-1, 2:24 left in the second period. As we continue to talk NHL hockey, now we're going to go ahead and preface the fact that Jordan, the old Colorado boy, I'm going to go out there and mention that life has been very, very nice out in Denver as 4 of owner Stan Kroenke's U.S. teams have won championships in the last 2 years. The 2023 Denver Nuggets, the NBA Super Bowl Los Angeles Rams, 2022 Stanley Cup champions Colorado Avalanche, and in 2022 the National Lacrosse League Cup champs, the Colorado Mammoth. I never even heard of them until now. So with that said, okay, let's speed it up a little bit. Jordan, you get 2 parting shots. We talked about the Nuggets world champs. And then the second thing you're going to do after that is you're going to rank Denver as a sports sound, because we will use that as our sports sound of the week on tomorrow night's edition of the Sports Exchange. Go ahead, Jordan. Okay, one and the other.
So for the Denver Nuggets, it's been 47 long years for us long-suffering Nuggets fans. I mean, we were close in really 2009 was our best chance besides now. We lost the LA Lakers in a hard fought 6-game series. A lot of people look at that as the one that got away because of the fact that we had a chance to win that series and probably would have beaten the Magic, I would assume, had we gotten there because the Lakers did. But I mean, it was just so satisfying to see that the Nuggets finally did it. I mean, I'll give credit to the Heat. They didn't go away last night. They wanted to force game 6. We wouldn't let them. And finally, after 47 years, we are champions. As for ranking the 4 major teams in Denver, I'm going to have to say it's going to go the Denver Nuggets because they just won. Colorado Avalanche 2. I'm going to have to put, I mean, it's a tie really between, I'm going to say the Broncos and then the Colorado Rockies, only because the Broncos have had more success than the Colorado Rockies in recent memory.
Okay, but Jordan, what on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank Denver, 1 through 10? With 10
As a
being the
sports
best?
town.
As a sports town, I mean, a lot of people don't think we are a great sports town, but honestly, I'm going to rank us. I'm going to be a little biased. We're a 10 because if you look at when we always sell out Mile High Stadium when the Broncos are playing. When the Avalanche are good, and same with the Nuggets, we sell those games out. And of course, I know the Rockies haven't been great in terms of their record, but everyone seems to go to their game. So I still think that it's a 10 just because we definitely heavily invest in our teams when they're good. And even when they're not, we still support them.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit there, Jordan. I think Colorado is a great sports town.
Yeah, I think so too. But I'll give all my information tomorrow night. But since Jordan wasn't going to be on that show, I felt that he deserved every opportunity to go out there and address it ahead of time so I can reference it tomorrow night. All right, Jeremy, what's your parting shot?
The Tigers are only doing decent in the division because the whole Central for the American League is god awful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, we're between second and third place every week. But you know what? We're not going to catch the Twins. But we might just stay there in second place because the Guardians, the Royals, and the White Sox are that bad.
Okay. All right, Chase, what's your parting shot?
All right. In sports, it's funny how history repeats itself. And if you're not watching what's happening down here in South Florida, you should. All our teams are winning. First time ever. We had 2 teams in the NCAA Final Four. The Panthers and Heat, as you know, have made the finals, probably losing them. But the Miami Marlins, they have not had a winning season through June since 2004, when they were 8-over on June 16th, 2004. You know who they beat in a series, a 3-game series to become 8-over 500? It was the Chicago White Sox. And now, in 19 years later, we're 8-over again starting this week. You know who we beat to become 8-over? The Chicago White Sox. It's funny how history repeats itself in sports.
Very good, Chase. I like it. All right, Eric, what do you have?
Well, I have to say, though, just Luis Arias this year. I mean, we finally have a guy who's actually, this is the second year in a row where we got a guy trying to break a record that no one's touched for years. We've had guys just get on a hot streak and be at 400-ish, but then, then they hit the dog days of July and August, and then they enter their usual slumps. But, Luis Arias, I mean, by the way he's hitting the ball, he's got a real chance to hit 400, and he'd be the first guy since Ted Williams. And he's also, him and Jorge Soler are making the Marlins something that people got to pay attention to. And I think ultimately, as the season progresses, I think the Marlins ballpark is going to be a lot more filled as Arias tries to make history.
Very good. All right, Candy.
My parting shot is going to go outside of the realm of baseball. My parting shot is going to be for the WNBA. You lack, I don't know who your marketing department is, because you're missing the boat. You put some of your games on Ion TV, which some people don't even have Ion TV. It's on some cable packages. It's not on others. You put some games on other shows, on other stations. Then you go and you retire 2 of your biggest name stars in the league, in Sue Bird and Susan Fullars, and you don't market it. You don't tell everybody ahead of time. So you got to hear about these things after the fact. Who's marketing the WNBA? You're starting to grow as a league. You need to promote it more so you'll be popular more. I'm sorry. They need new marketers. That's my thought.
100%.
Great thought.
It's a really good one. Well, you know what? I'm going to stay on the basketball side. I really, really am. And this one here I heard earlier, and it just drove me completely nuts. And now we have an update score from Vegas, and it's not looking good for the Florida Panthers. It's now 6-1. The Golden Knights are looking awfully golden, and they're going to walk away with their first Stanley Cup in just a matter of time, minutes before, possibly after the show's over. But I'm going to go stay to the NBA, and this is a guy that I've really given a lot of praise, but this time I really don't like what the most recent idiotic statement made, that he doesn't want to attend his Hall of Fame induction. That guy is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, let me give you some good advice, okay? And I'm sure you're probably going to get hammered a lot by it, okay? Get there first. Make the decision then. They're not Terrell Owens, who you can sit there and go out there and say, I'm angry, won't attend mine because I should have gotten the first ballot. Maybe, but I know how the Hall of Fame voting works at the NFL, where there's a lot of politicking amongst the writers for all 32 teams. I get that. But Jimmy Butler, shut up. Get there first, okay? Because here's the thing, Jimmy. These guys in the Hall of Fame will be the greatest teammates that you have ever had. You talk about iconic, they will be iconic. You'll be immortalized with the greatest, okay? Again, I love the way you play the game of basketball. You play with your heart, your soul. I'm not coming down on the Heat for losing to the Denver Nuggets. Let's face the reality. The Denver Nuggets are certainly, to me, the much better team. The Miami Heat did an incredible job winning their way into the finals. It's just they ran into a buzzsaw called the Nuggets. Michael Malone is an underrated coach. And this guy here will have a statue out in front of, what do they call that place? The what?
Ball Arena.
Ball Arena. Well, I know it changes names, but it's Ball Arena now. But Michael Malone. So, Jimmy, you know what? Just chill out. We know how hard you play the game. At least you found an organization that likes you, that appreciates you. Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley think the world of you. They've given you something that you haven't had before, respect, and they accept Jimmy Butler for who he is. So I know what's nice about tonight's parting shot is it gives everybody a chance to talk about different things outside of what we normally do. And I always like to do it when time allows itself to permit. And indeed, tonight it did exactly that. So with that said, I'm going to go around the horn and let everybody know how they can get a hold of you. Chase, we're going to start with you, my friend.
You can find me at Loud Marlins Fan on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. And really, you could even email at loudmarlinsfan@gmail.com. I am on my own podcast. It's called the Loud Marlin Fans Podcast on all available podcasting networks. Please give me a shot and a follow.
Okay, well, go to you, Jordan.
You can find me on Twitter at SportsScoop1. I also have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. And also, I'm here on 108 Stitches every Tuesday nights, and you can find me on different Sideline Sports Network shows throughout the week.
Well done. I know you're busy, and we're really delighted with the relationship that we have with Sideline Sports. I'm also delighted that Chase Blake has joined our team. He's been an incredible addition. Anytime I add good talent, it makes me feel really good about what we're doing. Jeremy B., go ahead. Obviously, you know where you stand with me, but let everybody else know as well.
I had to clear my throat for this one. Oh, let's see. You can find me on the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune heading, where you'll find me with a list of authors, and underneath the one and only Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth, as well as George Eichhorn and myself. You will also find me on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel anytime Scott needs me, but especially on Inside the Pigskin, the Sports Exchange, Fire Up Michigan, and The Professor and the Pupil, our new show at 10 a.m. on Sundays. You will also find me on Let's Talk Sports Friday nights at 8 and Sundays at 2, doing interviews with different podcasters and sports personalities. You can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Detroit Lions, where I have a show on Wednesday and Friday. Okay, done.
Yeah, right. That isn't a Hollywood vaudeville act. I don't know what the heck is. All right. Jeremy gets an A1 for acting in that particular situation. Okay. But, we'll go from there. All right, Eric, you're next.
Okay, you can find me on my Twitter at Sports Team News. You can also find me on my blog at bellyupsports.com, where I'm writing about all things baseball.
And Candy, why don't you go ahead and say our stuff?
You have the sheath in front of you.
All right, well then I'll do it. Yeah, but I like to hear the female version of it.
I want to
Okay,
say
you can find me on Chicks and Salsa, sometimes on Three Chicks in a Pod on Tuesday nights at 7:30. Then you can find me. You just never know where Scott's going to plug me in on any one of his shows. He has shows No Limits, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, Inside the Pigskin, Fire Up Michigan, Fire Up Wisconsin, Fire Up Florida. He has the Professor and the Pupil. He has South Florida Tribune podcast. I'm trying to think.
Real in the Rare.
Real in the Rare.
And No Limits is really taking off big time, isn't it, Can?
It is. And then we actually do live broadcasts. You never know. We've done Skip Schumacher from the Marlins. We've, like I said earlier, Willie Blair from Daytona Tortugas. You'll never know where you'll find us. And you'll find my photography on SouthFloridaTribune.com. Scott, you're the speaker. You talk more. I'm out of breath.
Oh, you had a lot to bite off there. And also, I enjoy my time with Pundit Spunnet and yes, Will Vogel. We have to give Basket Bros a reference. And I'll tell you what, since you contribute heavily in the chat room, we'll even stick it up on the screen because this guy here he's got that old Gomer Pyle type of thing, the way I look at it. All right. But yeah, no, Will Vogel's a good prospect in the system. He's established a niche in this room and he does a remarkable job. Basket Bros is a pretty fun show. I think some of the things we're trying to do to tweak it a little bit is they used to go to old time basketball and they still do 3 of the topics. I'm trying to get them to incorporate one new one and do some lists every now and then. And I'm thankful for Denzel Snipes and Jacob Christner, who are the primary ones on there as well. And Pundit Fun, it's a heck of a show too. But more importantly, JB Ellis and I are like brothers, and we certainly try to do what we can to promote platforms to the best of our ability. So with that said, you'd think I was going to let you not get your Basket Bros in? Don't worry, Will. We got you, my man. So with that said, this concludes this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. And I will mention one last time, coming from the guy that has a lot of force. And by the way, how do you like my Motor City Man Mouth cap? Just came today. I'm proud to wear it. So once again, I'll repeat for the last time that 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the show can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. So Candy definitely memorizes it. I go out there and make sure that we leave no stones unturned to the best of what my vision will allow. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. I'm always looking for new talent. I've got a lot of it in front of me anyway, so why not have more? Send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com or participate in the chat room. You want to advertise cost efficiently? Call me 954-304-4941. We are broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And again, our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. Our Twitter information is @TribuneSouth. And yes, Candy Ebling is normally behind the scenes, but now she's on the camera, and she does a masterful job making sure we keep it all together. So really good show tonight. I really enjoyed not only talking baseball, but the audio portion of the broadcast is presented by Jeremy Ballright. Right? Okay, we need to get a little bit of that applause in here. I don't know how to do it. I'm not smart enough to do it. So I'll never claim what my strong assets are. It's just not that. So, there we go. I know I'm being laughed at. Okay, leave it all right, Jeremy. Quit while you're ahead with 2.
Okay.
But meanwhile, on behalf of Candy Ebling, Eric Katz, Chase Blake, Jordan Long, and Jeremy Ballreich, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Hat, Motor City Badmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We will catch you next week. Have yourself a great week, and we will catch you later.